Welcome back. Imagine walking past a small jar of old pennies in your home and realizing, too late, that one of them could have changed your life forever. Not by a few dollars, not by a few thousand, but by hundreds of thousands, even reaching values that flirt with a full million. Today, we're talking about one of the most surprising underdogs in American coinage, the 1988 D-Mint Mark Lincoln penny, a coin so common, yet in the right condition so outrageously valuable that collectors have paid up to $988,000 for the finest known examples. Yes, a penny. 1 cent worth more than a mansion. And no, you're not dreaming. This coin doesn't look extraordinary at first glance. It doesn't shine with gold or glitter with silver. But sometimes wealth hides in the places people overlook every single day. And that's where your opportunity begins. The 1988 D-penny became a lightning bolt in the numismatic world not only because of its rarity and top condition, but because of the subtle, almost invisible details that separate the ordinary from the life-changing. Imagine the thrill of discovering that your old pocket change carries a hidden feature only a trained eye can detect. And imagine the fear of throwing away a fortune because you didn't know what to look for. It happens all the time. But not to you, not after today. The story of this coin begins in an era where pennies were made by the billions, churned out quickly to keep up with a growing economy. The Denver Mint produced an enormous quantity in 1988, and collectors assumed nothing special existed among them. But tucked within this ocean of copper-plated zinc were a tiny number struck with extraordinary precision and an unexpected detail: the transitional reverse. A design meant for another year, another coin. A mistake, or a miracle depending on who finds it first. This small variation created an entirely new class of rarity, one that collectors go absolutely wild for. If you've ever wondered how wealth hides in plain sight, this is the perfect example. Now picture someone casually sorting old change in their kitchen, not even realizing they're holding a near $1-million treasure. Stories like this circulate through the collector community, ordinary people stumbling into extraordinary wealth. It's exciting, but it also creates a sense of urgency. Because while these coins exist, they are decreasing in number every year. They get lost, damaged, spent, or tucked away in collections forever. The window is shrinking. The opportunity is real. And the time to look is right now. So what makes a 1988 D-penny worth the price of a luxury yacht? Condition is everything. The highest value examples are those that survived the last 36 years with almost perfect surfaces. No scratches, no discoloration, no dulling, no pocket wear. Coins graded in the highest mint state levels, especially those with the transitional reverse, become unbelievable trophies for elite collectors. And when elite collectors compete, the bidding war begins. That's where the jaw-dropping prices emerge. Have you ever seen two wealthy collectors fight over something? Let's just say the phrase "spare no expense" becomes literal. And if your coin is the one they want, well, that's when things get interesting. But here's the twist. Most people who have one of these valuable pennies don't even know it. They've tossed them in jars, left them in glove compartments, spent them at gas stations without a single thought. It's a terrifying idea, isn't it? To imagine that you or someone you know may have unknowingly given away a life-changing asset. That fear is exactly why smart collectors, people like you, are actively searching through their old coins right now. Not tomorrow, not someday, today. Think of the life you could create if you discovered one of these rare pieces. The financial breathing room, the opportunity to pay off debt, start a business, travel, invest, or give your family the stability you've always wanted. And yes, maybe enjoy a little luxury along the way. A coin like this isn't just metal. It's a doorway, a chance, a turning point waiting quietly inside an old coin roll. Now, before we go any deeper, a little humor to keep things light. If only pennies could talk, right? Imagine a tiny copper coin whispering, "Please check me carefully. I might be the one." But since they can't, it's up to us to pay attention. As the search continues, collectors talk about the 1988 D-penny with a kind of reverence. Some call it the sleeper coin of the decade. Others call it the ultimate pocket change jackpot. But all agree on one thing: its value is rising and fast. The highest auction records already sit at $988,000. And with the demand building every year, the ceiling is nowhere in sight. The fear of missing out has never been more justified. You may be wondering, why does such a small detail create such massive value? Because in the world of rare coins, rarity always wins. And accidental rarities, those created by minting anomalies, are the most desirable of all. They're not planned. They're not duplicated. They're once-in-history mistakes. And collectors love a good story, especially one they can hold in their hand. The beauty of all this is simple. You don't need to be wealthy to find one of these coins. You don't need to be a professional. You don't need rare equipment. You just need curiosity, a little patience, and the willingness to explore your own coin stash. If you've ever doubted whether hidden wealth could actually be sitting in your home, the 1988 D-penny proves that it can. And it often is. But here comes another cliffhanger. Even if you find one, the journey doesn't end there. The true value depends on grading, verification, and proper handling. Mishandling the coin, even slightly, can cost you tens of thousands instantly. So hold it carefully, store it safely, and resist the urge to rub it with your shirt. Yes, people actually do that, and it's a disaster every time. Collectors, dealers, investors, they're all watching this coin closely. The competition is growing. The prices are climbing. And the opportunities are slipping away piece by piece. If you've ever felt like wealth was always just out of reach, today may be the moment you change that story for good. You just have to take action. So tonight, tomorrow, or the second this video ends, go find your old jars of coins. Open those dusty drawers. Check the boxes you haven't touched in years. Because you might be holding a 1988 D Lincoln penny worth nearly $1 million. And the only thing more heartbreaking than not having one is having one and never knowing. Welcome back. Imagine waking up tomorrow and realizing the small, ordinary-looking penny sitting in a dusty jar in your closet is worth more than the house you live in. Sounds dramatic, maybe even unbelievable, right? But the shocking truth is that an unassuming 1982 D mint Mark Lincoln penny has recently shaken the coin-collecting world with a staggering current market value of $982,000. Yes, a coin many people once tossed aside without a second thought can now change a family's financial destiny. And if you're watching this, there's a good chance you might have one hiding somewhere. The only question is, will you find it before someone else finds theirs? Every great discovery begins with something small, a glimmer of possibility, a moment when you realize opportunity doesn't always come in shiny packages. Sometimes it comes in the form of a copper-colored coin most of us spent our childhoods dropping into vending machines. But this particular penny, minted in 1982 in Denver, is no ordinary relic. It belongs to a year of transition, mystery, and unexpected value leaps. A year when the U.S. Mint changed the very composition of pennies, creating varieties, errors, and anomalies that collectors now hunt like treasure. One of those anomalies has skyrocketed into the realm of million-dollar potential, and that's exactly why understanding the 1982 D penny has become a modern-day gold rush. But before we get ahead of ourselves, picture this: you're sorting through a drawer, maybe looking for old receipts or your long-lost measuring tape, and you stumble upon a handful of pennies. You almost ignore them. After all, they're pennies. But something nudges you, maybe curiosity, maybe intuition, and you look closer. And in that moment, your entire future shifts. That is the kind of moment people rarely expect but never forget. Collectors and experts have spent decades trying to decode the secrets of 1982 pennies, because that year produced both copper and copper-plated zinc coins. The differences are tiny but critically important. Copper coins weigh more, zinc coins weigh less, and the rarest 1982 D penny that commands close to $1 million is a transitional error. A coin struck in copper when it should have been zinc. Only a handful have ever been confirmed. And the fear of missing out on owning one is real because most Americans have no idea these rare transition errors even exist. That fear, mixed with the thrill of possibility, is what has driven modern treasure hunters to empty jars, search attic boxes, and dig through long-forgotten coin collections. If you've ever shrugged off a penny as worthless, you might want to rethink that strategy. And just when you think you understand how rare these coins are, the story takes an even more surprising turn. The 1982 D copper transitional penny isn't just valuable because it's rare. It's valuable because it wasn't supposed to exist. This wasn't a planned design, a commemorative release, or a special edition. It was a mistake. an accident, a minting oversight that turned an everyday object into a six-figure phenomenon. Think about that for a second. Have you ever made a mistake that earned you nearly $1 million? If only, right? As news of the extraordinary sale spread, collectors began asking the same burning questions. How many of these rare pennies are still out there? Are there more hiding in drawers, coin rolls, or storage boxes? And most importantly, could one of them be yours? This uncertainty adds both excitement and urgency because every day someone discovers a rare coin that instantly transforms their financial reality. And every day, another rare coin gets lost, spent, or overlooked forever. Imagine the emotional roller coaster of finding a coin worth nearly $1 million. First the shock, then disbelief, then the quiet moment when you sit down, realize what just happened, and maybe whisper, "Is this real?" And yes, this is real. Across the United States, people who once saw pennies as pocket change now view them as silent investments, sleeping opportunities waiting to wake up. The 1982 D penny represents that shift. It's a reminder that wealth isn't always loud or obvious. Sometimes it's small enough to fit between your fingers. But before you rush off to search every couch cushion in your home, let's talk about what makes this coin truly powerful. The weight, the year, the mint mark, the subtle details that separate a $1 million rarity from an ordinary 1-cent coin. The 1982 D copper penny weighs 3.11 grams. Most 1982 D pennies weigh 2.5 grams because they were made of zinc. That difference, barely noticeable unless you use a scale, is what determines whether your coin is worth 1 cent or nearly 1 million. It's a reminder that the smallest differences can create the biggest fortunes. Now here's the twist that keeps collectors awake at night. No one knows exactly how many copper transitional pennies from 1982 still exist. 2, 10, 100? The mystery adds a sense of urgency, because every passing year makes these coins harder to find. They disappear into private collections, vaults, or long-term investments. When one surfaces, the market reacts with electric excitement. Prices climb, bidding wars erupt, and suddenly, an ordinary person's life is changed forever. So ask yourself, when was the last time you checked your old coin jars? How many times have you walked past a dusty box in your garage without realizing it might contain a life-changing treasure? And why wait until someone else finds theirs before you look for yours? Opportunities like this don't last forever. Markets shift, supplies shrink, and awareness grows. The window is open now, wide enough for you to reach in and seize your chance. But here's the real cliffhanger. We're still learning new things about the 1982 D penny. Each discovery reveals another layer of mystery, another reason to believe that more rare examples may be out there. Some collectors speculate that additional transitional errors may come to light. Others believe the most valuable ones have yet to be found. And the thought that the next one could appear in the hands of someone watching this video right now, well, that's the kind of possibility that keeps the world of rare coins exciting. You might be thinking, why now? Why this coin? Why should I care? And the answer is simple. Because wealth doesn't only come from salaries, investments, or business ventures. Sometimes wealth comes from paying attention, from taking action when others hesitate, from recognizing value where others see nothing but scraps of copper. And if you're someone who dreams of financial freedom, if you want to open new doors for your family, if you're ready to step into the world of opportunity, these coins offer more than history. They offer hope. Picture the feeling of selling a coin you found for $982,000. Imagine the possibilities. Paying off your mortgage, starting a business, retiring earlier, traveling the world, or simply buying yourself the peace of mind you've always deserved. All from one penny. And who knows? Maybe you'll find more than one. Stranger things have happened in the world of treasure hunting. Maybe this is your turning point. Maybe this is the moment your story begins to. So here's your final thought, the one that keeps you on the edge of your seat. If $1 million pennies still exist in the wild, hidden in everyday homes across America, then one simple question remains. Will the next life-changing discovery belong to you? Or will someone else find it first? Welcome back. Let me ask you something most people never think about. What if the path to a wealthier life, a life where opportunities finally open instead of closing, is already sitting in a dusty drawer in your home? What if a small brown coin, one you may have stepped over or ignored for years, is quietly hiding a fortune? One that could rewrite your financial story forever. Today, we're diving into the 1979 D-Mint Mark Lincoln penny, a coin most people think is ordinary, but a select few know can be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. And in the rarest conditions, even climb into the territory of millions. Yes, you heard that right. A 1-cent coin that has shocked collectors with prices soaring to a current market value of $979,000. And the best part? People across the country are discovering these treasures by accident. The question is, will you be one of them? Before we go deeper, imagine this. You're sorting through an old coffee jar of pennies, maybe something left behind by a parent or grandparent, something you've walked past 100 times. You reach in, pull out a coin, and for a moment it looks just like any other penny. But then you notice something slightly different, a shine, a detail, a feeling that maybe, just maybe, this one is special. That little moment of curiosity is how big discoveries begin. The 1979 Denver-minted Lincoln penny was produced by the millions. People spent them on groceries, candy, gas, and bills. No one imagined these coins would one day carry enormous value. But history has a funny way of rewarding what survives. Because while millions were made, only a tiny fraction survived in pristine, untouched, near-perfect condition. And within that tiny fraction, there are even rarer varieties. Coins struck with mistakes, double dies, misaligned strikes, extraordinary finishes, little quirks that turn everyday pennies into sought-after treasures. Collectors don't just want these coins. They battle for them. They chase them. They pay life-changing amounts for them. It makes you wonder how many of these rare pieces slipped through the cracks of everyday life and are still hiding in homes across America. But before we talk about what makes the 1979 D penny worth nearly $1 million, let's address a fear many people have but rarely say out loud. The fear of missing out on something huge. Imagine discovering years later that you once held a 6-figure penny in your hand, and you spent it on a cup of coffee. Painful, right? That's why understanding what makes these coins valuable is not just interesting. It's urgent. Now, the value comes from a combination of extreme rarity, flawless condition, and specific die varieties that collectors obsess over. Some 1979 D pennies showcase doubling on the date or lettering. Others have unusually sharp strikes that reveal deeper details in Lincoln's portrait. A few come from early strikes on highly polished dies, giving them a proof-like shine even though they aren't proofs. And then there are the true unicorns. The coins with mint errors so dramatic, so unexpected, so visually striking that they can ignite bidding wars. When these rare pieces surface at auctions, collectors don't blink. They compete. And when they compete, prices skyrocket, sometimes reaching hundreds of thousands, even millions, depending on condition and provenance. You might be wondering why anyone would pay that much for a penny. It's simple. Wealthy collectors don't just buy coins. They buy history, they buy rarity, and they buy bragging rights. There's something incredibly powerful about owning the finest known example of a coin millions of people once held without knowing its potential. That sense of exclusivity drives demand through the roof. Think of it as the difference between owning a regular painting and owning an original masterpiece. One is decoration, the other is legacy. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Many of the highest value 1979 D pennies were found by regular people. Teachers, mechanics, retirees, folks who weren't even looking for a jackpot. They simply decided to check their change. And the truth is, right now, your chances of finding one are better than you think. Thousands of jars, boxes, and envelopes filled with old change sit untouched in homes from coast to coast. Every one of them is a potential gold mine. It almost feels like a real-life treasure hunt disguised as everyday life. And who hasn't dreamed of finding treasure? As you begin examining your pennies, pay close attention to luster, color, sharpness, and any unusual features. Does the coin have a deep, mirror-like surface? Does Lincoln's profile look sharper than usual? Are there tiny doubling marks on the numbers or letters? Even a small anomaly can turn a penny into a high-value prize. And if you find one in mint state condition, untouched by circulation, you've just stepped into a whole new financial reality. And of course, this discovery isn't just about excitement. It's about empowerment. For many people, money feels like something always slipping away, something difficult to build, something never quite enough. But the beauty of coin collecting is that it flips the script. Suddenly, wealth doesn't have to come from a job promotion, a business deal, or a lucky investment. It can come from awareness, from paying attention, from choosing to look where others don't. That shift creates opportunity, and opportunity creates transformation. But before we wrap up, here's something to keep in mind. Somewhere out there, right now, someone is holding a rare 1979 D penny and doesn't know it. They'll put it back in a jar or spend it at the grocery store or forget it in a drawer. Months later, another person will find their own, get it graded, send it to auction, and walk away with nearly $1 million. The difference between those two people isn't luck. It's action. It's awareness. It's the decision to check. So here's your cliffhanger moment. The question you'll be thinking about long after this video ends. Is the next record-breaking penny already in your home, waiting patiently for you to notice it? Or will someone else find theirs first? Because right now, the 1979 D Lincoln penny is rewriting financial futures. It's creating wealth where no one expected it. And the next person whose life it changes could be you. Welcome back. Before you spend another penny without thinking twice, imagine this. Somewhere in an old jar, a forgotten dresser drawer, or a dusty box of childhood keepsakes, a single 1978 D Lincoln penny could be sitting quietly, worth up to $978,000. Yes, a coin you've probably handled thousands of times before could be the key to unlocking a level of wealth that might change the entire course of your future. And the most surprising part? Most people don't even know what they're looking for. But today, you will. This story begins with something deceptively ordinary. A 1978 penny. Copper, worn edges, Lincoln's familiar profile. Nothing special at first glance. The kind of coin you toss into a cup holder or ignore when it falls between couch cushions. Yet, for a select few collectors, this exact coin has become a symbol of opportunity, rarity, and life-changing profit. But what makes one of the most common coins in American pockets capable of reaching nearly $1 million in value? That's where this journey gets interesting. And yes, you'll want to stay with me until the final moment, because not knowing one key detail could easily cost you a fortune. The truth is, the 1978 D Lincoln penny has become a treasure hunter's whisper, a coin surrounded by rumors, auction legends, and a handful of nearly unbelievable sales. But every legend has a beginning. In the late 1970s, the Denver Mint produced hundreds of millions of pennies, most of them perfectly ordinary. But among those millions, extremely rare errors slipped through, errors so subtle that only the trained eye could spot them, yet so significant that collectors today are willing to pay extreme premiums. You have to ask yourself, what if one of those rare errors landed in your hands decades ago, and you kept it without knowing? Some of these errors include misaligned dies, double dies, off-center strikes, and transitional planchet mistakes. The kind of mistakes that happen only when the minting process experiences a momentary flaw. These flaws turn an everyday coin into a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And here's the twist. The rarest of these 1978 D errors didn't just become valuable. They became legendary. One example sold in a private transaction with a valuation approaching that staggering $978,000 figure. Think about that. A penny turning into nearly $1 million. That's a return so absurdly high it almost feels like a joke. But it's not. Now, before you rush to tear apart your house looking for old pennies, let's pause. Because the real secret isn't just knowing the coin exists. It's knowing how to recognize it. And this is where many people make a costly mistake. They assume every old penny is valuable. But the people who really profit, are the ones who understand exactly what separates a normal coin from a fortune. And if you stay with me, I'll walk you through those exact signs in a moment. But first, it's important to recognize something. Coins like this are more than metal. They're assets, tools that help ordinary Americans create wealth in unconventional ways. Many people dream of financial freedom, but few realize that part of that freedom might be hidden in the simplest place imaginable. You wouldn't believe how many collectors share the same story. A coin they found by accident, a coin they almost threw away, ended up changing everything. Life rarely gives second chances, but sometimes it hides them in the smallest objects. Odd place for a miracle, isn't it? So what exactly makes the 1978 D penny so special? Let's break down the most valuable traits without overwhelming you. One sign to look for is doubling on Lincoln's face, date, or letters. Another is an off-center strike where part of the design is missing or shifted. Even more valuable are transitional errors where the wrong metal planchet was used. And then there are the ultra-rare mystery errors that even experts can't fully explain. Now here's the cliffhanger. One specific error type, responsible for the million-dollar valuation, remains closely guarded knowledge among top-tier collectors. And yes, we're about to talk about that. This elusive category involves extremely sharp, clean doubling caused by a unique die anomaly believed to have affected only a handful of coins. Some experts think fewer than 5 examples exist. Fewer than 5. That kind of rarity pushes a coin beyond value and into myth. And in the world of collectors, myth means money. Serious money. But here's where you need to pay attention. Because these coins look almost normal unless examined with real care. You might miss the signs. A slight extra thickness here, an unusual angle there. One blink, and the fortune is gone. Now imagine the feeling of realizing you had this coin all along. That moment when you see the error, maybe with a magnifier, maybe with your phone's zoom, and everything shifts. Your heart races. Your mind spins. You think about debts, about retirement, about the freedom to choose the life you want instead of settling for the one you have. That blend of fear and excitement is powerful. Because the fear is real, how many people have thrown wealth away without knowing? But so is the excitement, because you could be the one who doesn't. Collectors today are fiercely hunting for these gems. Auction houses are reporting higher bids, private buyers are stepping in with cash offers, and the market is more competitive than ever. Coins like this don't just maintain value. They can skyrocket as demand grows and supply remains almost non-existent. Wealth seekers, investors, even people who never cared about coins before, they all want a piece of the action. And who can blame them? When a tiny piece of copper can earn you a luxury home, a dream car, or a comfortable retirement, you'd be crazy not to pay attention. But here's where urgency kicks in. The market is shifting fast. As more collectors become aware of the 1978 D penny's potential, the competition to find one intensifies. Every month that passes means fewer undiscovered examples. People are waking up. They're buying magnifiers, studying coins, digging out old jars from basements and attics. And the irony? Some will give up too soon. Others will overlook something incredible. Yet someone, maybe you, will stay just long enough to find that one coin that changes everything. Before we wrap up, here's the final twist. The biggest mistake people make is assuming they'll know value when they see it. But the truth? Value often hides in the plainest place. And the people who get ahead are the ones who don't wait. They act. They check every coin. They stay curious. They stay hungry. Because the minute you stop looking, someone else finds what you missed. And no one wants to hear the words. You could have been a millionaire. So as you go about your day, don't ignore those old jars, those forgotten boxes, those loose pennies in your car. One small coin could be the difference between staying where you are and stepping into the wealthy, secure, abundant life you've always imagined. Who knew that freedom might just weigh 3.11 grams? And right after this, I'll reveal the single biggest mistake that causes people to misidentify rare pennies, and how to avoid it so you never miss out on the opportunity of a lifetime. Don't blink. You won't want to miss what comes next. What if the path to a wealthier life, a calmer future, and a financial breakthrough is already inside your home right now, disguised as a simple copper penny? And what if that penny, a 1973 no-mint Mark Lincoln 1-cent coin, could be worth not just hundreds, not just thousands, but up to millions of dollars, with rare examples recently reaching an astonishing market value of $973,000. Sounds unbelievable, right? But so did the stories of every person who found life-changing fortune in the most unexpected places. It starts quietly. You're going about your life, maybe wishing for just one opportunity to turn things around. Something that doesn't demand high risk or confusing investments. Something simple, something possible. And then one day, you learn the truth. A common-looking penny from 1973, minted in Philadelphia with no mint mark, has hidden variations, unique errors, and rare die characteristics that can turn an ordinary coin into a financial miracle. Some of these pennies were struck with dramatic die breaks, doubling, or unusual metal inconsistencies that collectors aggressively hunt for. And when the right collector wants the right coin, the bidding doesn't just rise, it erupts. Still, many people hesitate, wondering if it's even real. After all, it's just a penny. But here's the twist that pulls people out of ordinary thinking. The 1973 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny sits in one of the most fascinating eras of American coin production, a time when the mint juggled increasing demand, aging dies, and heavy circulation pressure. As dies wore down and maintenance lagged behind production speeds, rare forms of doubling, misaligned strikes, and subtle design distortions appeared. These are the kinds of tiny details that make a collector stop breathing for a moment. Ironically, they're also the details most people never bother to check. And that is where opportunity hides, in the shadows of overlooked possibilities. Imagine holding a coin that was never meant to be valuable, only to discover that the universe quietly placed a small piece of fortune in your pocket decades ago. Think about the story you could tell, how a single penny became the catalyst for a new chapter in your life. Maybe you've been working hard, waiting for a chance to upgrade your home, pay off debt, take that dream vacation, or build long-term wealth. Maybe you've even told yourself, if only I could catch a break. What if that break isn't something to chase, but something to search for? Of course, here's where the excitement gets real. Collectors aren't just paying for shiny coins. They're paying for rarity, condition, and story. A high-grade 1973 no-mint Mark penny, especially one with dramatic doubling on the date, liberty, or the motto, can explode in value. One with deep, crisp detail and almost untouched surfaces may send bidders into an all-out war. Even mid-grade coins can earn hundreds or thousands. But the elite pieces, the ones with extraordinary strike errors or sharply preserved details, cross into the realm where price tags look more like luxury home down payments. The kind of numbers that make you lean forward and whisper, seriously. But let's not pretend this is all fun and games. There's a little fear mixed into this journey too. The fear of missing out. Someone out there will find one of these life-changing coins. Someone will check their old jars, their childhood coin folders, their grandparents' forgotten boxes, and uncover a piece of metal that could rewrite their financial story. The only question is whether that someone will be you, or someone else who simply bothered to look. Because nothing haunts us quite like the opportunities we almost had. And here's a small humorous reminder. If you ever needed an excuse to dig through your couch cushions, well, congratulations, you now have a financially responsible reason to go treasure hunting in your own home. Just tell your family you're not being weird, you're being strategic. But before you get too comfortable, let's talk urgency. Right now, collectors are aggressively buying high-quality 1973 no-mint Mark pennies because the market is heating up. As more people discover the potential value, fewer untouched examples remain in circulation. Every month, more of these coins get graded, sold, and locked into private collections. That reduces supply, increases demand, and raises prices. If you wait too long, you may still find one, but you might find it after the market peak has already passed. And nothing stings quite like discovering a fortune a year too late. The reason these coins are skyrocketing is not random hype. It's driven by data, grading trends, auction results, and collector behavior. A nearly perfect high-grade example recently pushed toward that jaw-dropping $973,000 valuation, creating shockwaves across the collector community. Suddenly, everyone wanted to check their 1973 pennies. But rarity doesn't multiply. It only disappears. Collectors look for sharp Lincoln details, defined hair strands, a crisp bow tie, full lines in the memorial reverse, no major scratches, no wear on the cheekbone. And the moment doubling appears, especially on the date, the motto, or the details of the building, you're not just holding a coin, you're holding a miniature gold mine disguised as copper. People often ask, why would a collector pay so much for it? It's like asking why someone buys a famous painting, a rare watch, or a classic car. Rarity fuels desire. Desire fuels competition. And competition fuels value. Plus, coin collectors are among the most passionate buyers in the world. When two of them want the same rare specimen, you get bidding wars that look like financial fireworks. Now here's where things get really interesting. Behind every valuable 1973 penny is a story, a moment in history where a machine struck a coin just a little differently, creating a mistake the mint never intended, but collectors obsess over. And these tiny mistakes, these imperfections, create the perfect opening for someone like you to step into a world of hidden wealth. Let me leave you with a thought that might keep you up tonight. Somewhere in America, right now, someone has a 1973 penny sitting in a jar, a drawer, or a box. It might be in pristine condition. It might have doubling. It might be the next $1 million discovery. And they have absolutely no idea. They walk past it every day. They never check it. They never think twice. But you do. You're here, listening, learning, preparing. You're discovering what most people ignore. You're opening your eyes to the possibility that wealth doesn't always come from something new. Sometimes, it comes from something old. Something that's been waiting patiently for decades. So when this video ends, don't just walk away. Go search. Go find. Go look at every 1973 penny you can get your hands on. Because the next person who uncovers a rare $1 million coin might be someone just like you, holding something that looks small but changes everything. And when you find it, remember this moment. The moment you realized wealth can hide in plain sight, and all you had to do was pay attention. Welcome back. Imagine holding a single penny so ordinary, so familiar, that you barely notice it in your hand. Now imagine learning that this tiny piece of copper could be worth more than most luxury homes in America. A coin that people once tossed into jars, glove compartments, and couch cushions, now commanding a jaw-dropping market value of up to $971,000. And for a select few lucky owners, even crossing into the millions. Sounds unbelievable, right? Yet that's the story of the 1971 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. A coin hiding in plain sight, quietly changing the financial destinies of everyday people who dared to look a little closer. Before we dive into why this coin has the power to create new wealth, consider this. How many times have you walked past an opportunity without realizing it? How many fortunes go unnoticed because they don't look like fortunes at first glance? Sometimes wealth doesn't arrive in a vault or a briefcase. Sometimes it arrives disguised as a penny. The 1971 no-mint mark Lincoln penny might look simple, but it's a coin forged during a transitional era in American minting. A time when quality control wasn't always perfect, and when certain dies and strikes led to incredibly valuable variations. Most 1971 pennies are worth face value, but a tiny number, so tiny that collectors spend years hunting, possess the traits that push their value to extraordinary heights. Crisp details, perfect luster, sharp strikes, and rare errors or doubling that attract elite collectors willing to pay life-changing money. Imagine finding one of these in a childhood jar. That's the kind of discovery that sends your heart racing and your mind spinning with possibility. But here's what most people don't realize. Coins like this don't just become valuable because they're old. They become valuable because of scarcity, condition, and demand. And the 1971 no-mint mark penny has all three converging at once. Professional graders have identified only a select handful in pristine, museum-level condition. When something is rare enough to count on one hand, collectors don't negotiate, they compete. And competition is the fuel that sends prices skyrocketing. That's why this humble penny, under the right circumstances, can climb past the $971,000 mark and continue rising. Now, if you're wondering whether regular people actually find these coins, the answer might surprise you. Yes, absolutely. Collectors, resellers, and even casual hobbyists across the country have reported stumbling upon rare pennies in old coffee cans, inherited coin collections, or boxes stored away in attics for decades. The kind of places where dust gathers and old memories hide. So here's a question. What if your future wealth has been sitting silently in your home this entire time? Of course, most people don't check. They assume pennies are worthless. They assume wealth must be complicated. But the truth is, opportunity rewards curiosity. Those who look, find. Those who don't, well, someone else gets the payday. And if you've ever felt the fear of missing out, this is exactly the type of moment you don't want slipping past you. Still, the real magic of the 1971 penny isn't just the value. It's the story it tells about overlooked potential. Every time you study a coin, you're reminded that small things can make a massive impact. just like decisions in life. Tiny choices that shape entire futures. And yes, I know that sounded dramatic for a penny, but when a coin buys you a luxury home, a retirement plan, or a first-class ticket to anywhere on Earth, drama is allowed to understand what makes the top-tier examples worth nearly $1 million. Professional coin experts look for several specific markers. Razor-sharp details on Lincoln's bust, fully struck lettering around the rim, flawless luster, and absolutely no wear. Some extremely valuable pieces also show signs of doubling, the kind of error caused by subtle misalignments during the minting process. These one-in-a-million mistakes create what collectors call unicorn coins, the type that auction houses fight over and private collectors chase for decades. If you've ever wondered what treasure hunting in the modern world looks like, this is it. But here comes the moment that separates viewers who simply enjoy coin stories from those who act on them. Are you ready for the twist? Most people who discover these million-dollar coins never intended to become coin sellers at all. They weren't experts. They weren't historians. They were ordinary people who decided to check their coins one day, out of boredom, out of curiosity, or because a video just like this one told them it might change their lives. And then it did. Let that sink in as we move forward, because you might be just one decision away from your own discovery. Now, picture the thrill of opening a small box in your home, flipping through old pennies, and seeing a date that suddenly makes your pulse jump. Imagine the suspense as you check the coin's details, turning it under the light, just hoping, that the sharpness and shine match the rare examples that sell for hundreds of thousands. That moment right there is why coin collecting is experiencing a surge in America today. Not because people love metal circles, but because they love possibility. They love the idea that something small can change everything. And here's where the urgency hits. The number of high-grade 1971 pennies is fixed. They aren't making more. Time only wears coins down, never up. That means every year, these rare examples become even rarer, and collectors become even more desperate to secure one before the prices explode again. Wealth grows fastest when demand outruns supply, and in the world of rare pennies, that moment is happening now. But don't rush to dump your coins on the market without understanding one crucial truth. The biggest paydays don't go to the fastest sellers. They go to the smartest ones. Knowing how to evaluate your coin, where to submit it for grading, when to list it, and which auction houses attract elite buyers can make the difference between earning a few thousand and earning a life-changing fortune. And if that thought doesn't spark a mix of excitement and healthy fear, nothing will. Still, here's a comforting reality. Anyone can learn this. You don't need a degree in numismatics. You just need guidance, patience, and an eye for detail. And yes, maybe a magnifying glass. Preferably one that doesn't make you look like a detective in an old mystery movie. But hey, whatever works. As we move toward the close, here's the question that matters most. What will you do after this video ends? Will you forget about the 1971 penny, assuming it's just another story? Or will you take action, pull out your coin jars, and actually look? Because action is the difference between wishing for wealth and building it. Somewhere out there, someone is about to find the next record-breaking 1971 Lincoln penny. Could be a collector, could be a reseller, could be someone who's never paid attention to coins a single day in their life. Until now. Why shouldn't it be you? The truth is simple. Wealth doesn't just belong to the lucky. It belongs to the prepared. To the people who take small steps, like checking a penny, that lead to massive outcomes. And the next person whose life is transformed by a coin worth nearly $1 million might be listening to this message right now. So before you move on, remember this final thought. Fortunes aren't always found in the places we expect. Sometimes they're hiding in the smallest, most ordinary objects. And sometimes all it takes to change your future is the courage to look. Imagine waking up one morning, reaching into an old jar of coins, and discovering a penny, just a simple 1995 Lincoln cent, that suddenly changes your entire financial future. Sounds unbelievable, right? Yet this exact coin, the one millions of Americans walked past every day without a second thought, is now breaking expectations and selling for as high as $995,000. Yes, a coin that originally cost 1 cent is now sitting just shy of $1 million. And the question that quietly creeps in is, what if you already have one and don't even know it? welcome back. Today, we're diving deep into the extraordinary story, value, and explosive market rise of the 1995 D-Mint Mark Lincoln penny, one of the most surprising modern-era coins to skyrocket into the realm of million-dollar collectibles. For people between the ages of 30 and 65 who are ready to turn old coins into new wealth, this might be the opportunity you never expected. And trust me, by the end of this video, you'll never look at a penny the same way again. It's almost funny, isn't it? We ignore pennies when they fall on the ground, push them aside in drawers, or leave them forgotten inside car cup holders. But the real irony is that the very coins we treat as worthless can sometimes be the ones capable of pulling us up the wealth ladder. One viewer recently told me they nearly vacuumed their entire fortune because a rare penny got stuck under the couch. So if you've ever joked about being one penny away from being rich, well, this time it might actually be true. The story of the 1995 D penny begins in a year when millions were produced, creating the illusion that nothing about it could be special. But as with many treasures in life, the most valuable ones aren't obvious to the untrained eye. This coin's high value doesn't come from low mintage. It comes from rarity among condition, demand, and the intense hunt among serious collectors who are battling for the finest surviving examples. Only a microscopic handful exist at the highest grade levels, and that scarcity is exactly why the market has erupted with unbelievable prices. You might be wondering, how can a coin minted in such massive quantities rise to nearly $1 million? The answer is simple but powerful: condition survival. Most 1995 D pennies went straight into circulation, rubbing against keys, sliding across counters, scraping inside pockets. Those tiny scratches that nobody notices today are exactly the scratches that cost sellers fortunes tomorrow. Collectors aren't just looking for this penny, they're hunting for the perfect version of it. A flawless 1995 D penny, preserved in gem-quality condition, is like spotting a diamond in a bucket of gravel. And when elite collectors finally find one, they will pay whatever it takes to claim it. But here's something that should make you pause. Coins like this are still being found in old jars, storage boxes, and forgotten rolls. People who had no idea of their value are suddenly discovering that a penny they kept for no particular reason now has the power to completely shift their financial lives. And the fear of missing out becomes real when you consider that thousands of these coins are still ungraded, hiding quietly in American homes. Now imagine someone discovering the exact coin you could have found first. That creeping feeling in your stomach? That's the realization that opportunities don't always knock. They sometimes rattle around in an old tin can in your closet. The market for rare Lincoln cents has been exploding in recent years, and the 1995 D has become one of the most aggressively pursued modern pennies. The highest graded examples have commanded up to $995,000 due to competition, rarity, and the psychology of collectors who want the absolute best. When wealthy buyers enter bidding wars, the numbers go up fast. And if you've ever watched an auction escalate, you know it only takes two determined bidders to push a coin into the stratosphere. But here's the exciting part. The next $1 million penny might still be sitting ungraded. It might be in your house right now. The idea of wealth hiding in plain sight isn't just motivational. It's real, tangible, and happening more often than people realize. The smart sellers are the ones taking action, getting their pennies evaluated, and putting themselves in the path of opportunity instead of hoping lightning strikes on its own. Let's be honest for a moment. Most people who want to build wealth look in the obvious places: real estate, stocks, side businesses. Those paths are valid, but they take time, patience, and sometimes money that many people can't spare. But coins? Coins are different. They come from your past, not your bank account. They come from change jars handed down by grandparents, old dresser drawers, forgotten piggy banks, childhood collections. Wealth doesn't usually hide in old memories, but in this case, it absolutely can. The fear most people have is not that they won't find a rare coin. It's that they already had one and let it slip through their fingers. Literally. Someone once told me they spent years collecting pennies as a kid, only to toss them out during a move. They still joke about it, but it's the kind of joke said through clenched teeth. Because once a coin like the 1995 D hits the spotlight, every missed opportunity suddenly becomes louder. And that's why stories like this matter. They remind us that while life can surprise us with challenges, it can also surprise us with wealth we never saw coming. Sometimes a path to financial freedom doesn't start with a business plan. starts with opening an old jar. Now, before we reach the most important part, let me ask you a question. If I told you that one decision, just one, could dramatically increase your chances of discovering a rare and extremely valuable penny, would you take that step today or put it off until someday? And before you answer, remember, someday is the favorite day of people who never take action. The truth is simple. The most valuable coins almost always end up in the hands of the people who move first. The collectors who grade their coins early. The sellers who don't wait for the perfect moment, because they know the perfect moment is created, not found. And while some say, "I'll check later," someone else is getting life-changing checks right now, so what should you look for in your 1995 D penny? Condition is everything. Sharp details, clean surfaces, and no signs of circulation. A brilliant, lustrous shine. Minimal blemishes. The kind of penny that looks like it somehow slipped through time without being touched. These are the coins that auctioneers will fight over and collectors will pay fortunes for. But even circulated versions can carry surprising value, especially if they stand out in grade, color, or eye appeal. The key is never assuming a penny is worthless until it's examined properly. That single mindset, one simple shift from assuming to checking, is the difference between walking past a fortune and holding one. Before we wrap up, here's the cliffhanger you've been sensing throughout this entire journey. The rarest known 1995 D penny may not have been discovered yet. That means the most valuable one, the one that could break the $1 million barrier, might still be waiting. And someone will find it. Someone will grade it. Someone will claim the headline. The only question left hanging in the air is, will it be you? If you've ever dreamed of transforming your financial future, if you've ever hoped for a chance to rewrite your story, this might be the simplest first step you've ever taken. Check your pennies. Because wealth doesn't always come wrapped in gold. Sometimes it comes disguised as copper. And if a 1-cent coin can rise to nearly $1 million, imagine what else in your life might hold more value than you think. Imagine waking up one ordinary morning, reaching into an old jar of change, and discovering a penny so rare, so powerful, that it could completely change the trajectory of your financial life. Sounds unbelievable, right? But the truth is, stories like this keep happening across the country, and today, we're diving into one of the most surprising examples of hidden fortune in plain sight. The 1997 D Mint Mark Lincoln penny, a coin with a current market value soaring as high as $997,000. Yes, a penny worth nearly $1 million. And yet millions of people have handled this coin without ever realizing the opportunity slipping through their fingers. This is where your journey begins. Because if you want to create wealth, real wealth, the kind that gives you freedom, choices, and a lifestyle most people only dream about, you must learn to recognize opportunities disguised as something ordinary. And there is nothing more ordinary than a penny. But this coin, well, it may not be ordinary at all. Before we go deeper, take a moment to imagine what $1 million penny could do for your life. Clearing debt, upgrading your home, leaving a legacy your children will talk about long after you're gone. That possibility is not a fantasy. It's a reality for those who know where to look, what to look for, and why these coins command such extraordinary value. Now let's peel back the curtain and explore the shocking history and value of the 1997 D Lincoln penny. Our story begins in an era most of us remember clearly, the late 90s, a time of booming technology, rising optimism, and for coin collectors, a decade full of unexpected minting anomalies. The Denver Mint, known for producing billions of pennies every year, had its share of challenges. When billions are produced, tiny errors inevitably slip through. Most of those errors are minor, barely noticeable unless you're looking for them. But in 1997, a microscopic handful of pennies left the mint with extraordinary mistakes: double dies, off-center strikes, plating defects, and rare transitional anomalies that collectors today are desperate to acquire, and desperation creates value. The rarer the coin, the more emotional the chase. The more emotional the chase, the higher the price people are willing to pay. It's the same human psychology that drives art auctions, luxury real estate, or rare gemstones. Scarcity fuels desire, and desire fuels price. And the 1997 D penny? It ranks at the top of this emotional and financial storm. But what actually makes a single penny from 1997 worth nearly $1 million? The truth is a blend of rarity, condition, error type, and collector demand. One of the most valuable examples ever recorded displayed a near-perfect strike with a dramatic double-die feature visible under magnification. The surfaces were pristine, the details razor-sharp, and the coin sat untouched in mint-state condition. When it hit the market, serious collectors battled for ownership, driving the value to a staggering $997,000. A life-changing amount of money for a coin most people wouldn't look at twice. Think about that for a second. How many 1997 pennies have you tossed into a drawer, dropped on the floor, or ignored at the bottom of your car's cup holder? How many small opportunities have passed through your hands because you didn't know their worth? It makes you wonder what else in life you might be overlooking. But don't worry, today we fix that together. Because the next time you hold a 1997 D penny, you will never look at it the same way again. Let's look closer at the features you should be searching for. First, the mint mark, D for Denver. Next, examine the lettering. Is the word Liberty doubled? Does the date appear slightly shifted? Are the edges uneven or off-center? Does the penny appear thicker or thinner than normal? Is the copper plating distorted, bubbled, or irregular? These tiny details, often invisible unless you're paying attention, are exactly what turn pocket change into wealth-building assets. And here's where the fear creeps in, because once you know what to look for, you can't unknow it. What if you already had the $1 million coin and spent it without realizing? What if it slipped through your fingers years ago? That fear isn't meant to haunt you. It's meant to sharpen your awareness, to inspire you, to push you to start checking every coin you come across. Because opportunity doesn't always knock loudly. Sometimes it whispers, but excitement follows close behind. Because if mistakes at the mint created $1 million coins in 1997, then there could be more. Hidden in jars, tucked in old purses, buried in storage boxes, left behind by relatives, or circulating quietly in plain sight. People have found rarities in pocket change before. Many more will find them again. Why shouldn't one of them be you? The real secret isn't just the error itself, it's the condition. High-grade coins explode in value because they represent perfection born from imperfection. A flawed masterpiece. That paradox drives collectors wild. And once these coins are discovered, authenticated, and graded, the bidding wars begin. The urgency becomes real. There are only so many rare 1997 D pennies in existence, and when they're gone, they are gone forever. And this leads to a sobering truth. We're living in a time when rare coin prices are climbing rapidly as wealthy investors, collectors, and private buyers pour money into tangible assets. They want items with history, scarcity, and emotional value. Assets that can't be printed, replicated, or inflated away. Simply put, they want what you might already have. That urgency creates a window, a short window. Miss it, and the opportunity slips to the next hands. So what should you do if you find a 1997 D penny that looks unusual or special? First, protect it. Handle it carefully by the edges. Don't clean it. Cleaning can destroy thousands of dollars in value. Next, compare it with verified examples online. Then, have it looked at by a reputable grading service. One coin, one decision can be the difference between ordinary income and extraordinary wealth. And here's the cliffhanger most people never expect. Some experts believe that the market value of elite condition 1997 D pennies hasn't peaked yet. With demand rising, the next sale could break records even higher than $997,000. Imagine that. The next $1 million penny may not have surfaced yet. Could still be out there. Could still be waiting. Picture the moment you discover yours. Picture the feeling of knowing your life just changed from a single coin. It's the kind of moment people write books about. The kind of moment that transforms fear into excitement, anxiety into confidence, and hope into action. And now, as we reach the end of our story, remember this. Wealth doesn't always come from big opportunities. Sometimes it comes from the smallest things as small as a penny. The real question is not whether $1 million pennies exist. They do. The real question is whether you're paying attention. Because somewhere in America right now, someone is holding a 1997 D penny, and they have no idea it's worth almost $1 million. Welcome back. Imagine waking up one morning, reaching into an old drawer, and discovering a penny so valuable it could transform your entire financial future. Sounds unbelievable, right? But today we're talking about one of the most shocking stories in modern coin collecting. The 1994 D-Mint Mark Lincoln penny, a coin that most Americans walked past, spent without thinking, or tossed into a jar. Yet some rare examples have exploded in value, reaching an astonishing $994,000. Yes, a single cent that could be worth nearly $1 million. And if you think that's impossible, stay with me, because by the end of this video you might find yourself checking every penny you've ever saved. This coin wasn't born famous. In 1994, the Denver Mint produced millions of pennies, most as ordinary as loose change on a gas station counter. But within that massive production run, a tiny number came out different, so different that collectors today would do almost anything to get their hands on one. These ultra-rare 1994 D pennies carry traits that separate them from the crowd, traits that turn a humble copper-plated zinc coin into a life-changing asset. It's ironic, isn't it? A coin most people ignored may now be the key to someone's dream retirement, a down payment on a luxury home, or a new chapter of financial independence. You might feel a little fear creeping in as you wonder how many rare pennies have slipped through your fingers in the past. It's a strange mix of excitement and regret, knowing that everyday change could hide wealth that most people never recognize. But that fear is exactly why thousands of Americans are searching their jars, drawers, and old boxes right now. No one wants to be the person who unknowingly spent $1 million penny on a soda years ago. And if you think that sounds dramatic, imagine explaining to your family that the coin you spent was worth more than their annual salary. Not fun. What makes certain 1994 D pennies so valuable isn't just their scarcity. It's the dramatic combination of condition, minting anomalies, and collector demand colliding in a perfect storm. Some coins from this year left the mint with unusually sharp strikes, flawless surfaces, and virtually zero imperfections. Others display bold doubling in the design, tiny shifts in details like the date or the letters, or errors that only occur in microscopic fractions of a production run. These features are so rare that when one shows up at auction, collectors fight tooth and nail for it. And that bidding war is exactly why the highest graded and rarest examples now reach into the high six figures. At this point, you might feel the excitement rising. Could you have one stored away without realizing it? Could a simple penny, tossed aside decades ago, be the key to wealth you never anticipated? And what if I told you that most million-dollar pennies weren't discovered by professional investors, but by ordinary people just like you? People who held onto their pocket change out of habit, curiosity, or pure coincidence. People who never imagined that a coin worth 1 cent could become the centerpiece of a fortune. But here's where the urgency kicks in. These valuable examples don't sit around waiting forever. As collectors continue hunting, fewer and fewer remain undiscovered. And once they're found and graded, the chances of another one appearing on the market shrink dramatically. Every year that passes, the opportunity becomes rarer. That's why seasoned collectors are acting now, before the window of discovery closes for good. Imagine knowing that you could have made a life-changing decision, but waited too long. No one wants to live with that kind of regret. What's truly fascinating about the 1994 D penny is how deceptively simple it looks. No one would notice it in your hand. No one at the grocery store would blink if you spent it. It doesn't glow or sparkle or shout for attention. It doesn't need to. Its power lies in the microscopic details that turn ordinary into extraordinary. Details that only reveal themselves when you care enough to look. It's almost poetic. Wealth hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone with curiosity and courage to uncover it. You might be wondering how a $100,000 penny differs from $1 million penny. Sometimes it's just a single grade point. Sometimes it's a tiny error barely visible to the naked eye. Sometimes it's pristine luster untouched for decades. The difference is often so small that even trained eyes need magnification. And that's why collectors pay premiums that seem unbelievable to outsiders. Perfection is priceless in the world of rare coins. And the rarest combination of perfection and rarity can produce values that reach levels most people wouldn't dare imagine. Now here's a question to reset your focus for a moment. When was the last time you actually looked at a penny? Not spent it, not tossed it, but truly examined it. For most adults, it's been years, maybe decades. And yet, the people who take just a few moments to check their coins sometimes walk into auctions with life-changing assets. The universe has a sense of humor like that. Sometimes the opportunity you overlooked was sitting in your palm the whole time. The story of the 1994 D-penny is more than a coin story. It's a reminder that wealth doesn't always show up dressed like wealth. It can hide in pockets, jars, and forgotten corners of everyday life. It's a symbol of the mindset that separates those who find opportunities from those who miss them. In a world where prices rise every year and financial security feels harder and harder to achieve, the idea that a 1-cent coin could turn into nearly $1 million feels almost like a miracle. And yet, it's entirely real, so picture this. You're holding a penny, turning it slowly under the light, wondering if this could be your moment. Your hands shake a little. Your heart beats faster. You compare it to pictures, look for the markers of rarity, check for doubling, check for pristine condition. And then comes the cliffhanger. What if this is it? What if the next coin you flip over is the one that changes everything? That question alone has driven countless treasure hunters, collectors, and everyday families to search relentlessly, because the possibility is worth the effort. But the ending of this story isn't written yet. And that's the most powerful part. Somewhere out there, another rare 1994 D-penny is waiting to be found. Could be in your house, your parents' house, a coin jar, or even mixed in with pocket change you collected years ago. And until someone discovers it, that potential value remains hanging in the air like a promise. This is your moment to act, not out of fear alone, but out of the thrill of possibility, out of the desire for a better, wealthier, more secure life, out of the understanding that sometimes the smallest things hold the greatest power. 1 cent, $994,000. A decision that takes only minutes. So keep watching, keep searching, and keep believing that the next coin you examine could be the one that rewrites your financial story forever.